2.
Well, good evening once again in Austin, Texas, and of course, Manor, the very close neighbor to Austin. We are having another Torah class, and we call it Torah and Traditions. And we're going to be exploring some things that have impacted our traditions as well as the Torah Parsha for the week. We're trying to combine them as much as we can. So if you will kind of join with us and bear with us, we will move right on into our teaching. If you have a question that comes up and you would like us to address it, please send your question to asktheRabbi@tzIon.org. And it's up on your screen there, rabbi@tzIon.org. Ask the Rabbi@tzIon.org. So anyway, I'll try to get to any questions that you send me. I don't guarantee it'll be tonight, but I will try as best I can to make sure it gets answered on a broadcast in the coming up. All right. Well, we're going to pray seated today because of lack of help, and so I apologize for not standing during the prayer. I normally do. But tonight we will do the prayer seated. And now we have a camera operator, so maybe I can stand. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father. We're going to just go ahead and start off with our prayer. Avinu Shevashamayim, our Father who is in the heavens, we honor you tonight. We thank you for your word. We thank you for the insights that you have been giving us into your word. This is your word, Lord. And your word is so complex and so multidimensional that it's hard for any of us to even begin to comprehend the fullness of it as we read it. And the amazing teaching you gave us last week, last Sabbath morning class was amazing. And it really changed my whole view and outlook on some of the biblical characters, especially Avram, as he was before he was named Abraham. And God gave me even more insight this week. And so, Lord, I just thank you for all this multidimensional input. And I look forward to more of what you're going to be showing us even as we go through it this week. So we give our praise and honor and glory to you, Lord, for you are the King of the universe. Your name is Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And there is no other God besides you. So we honor you tonight. Father, I just ask you to pour your Spirit out upon all of us who are here tonight. Give us living water as we study. I ask you to give us food from heaven and help us to be able to be strengthened by what you give us and help us to be able to truly understand your word better and even get deeper glimpses even as your heart and mind sees your own scriptures. And that's awesome, Lord, when you do that. So everybody say, Lord, I'm hungry.
Lord, I'm hungry.
I ask you to feed me tonight.
I ask you to feed me tonight.
I want some more depth of understanding.
I want some more depth of understanding.
Just like you gave us last Sabbath.
Just like you gave us last Sabbath.
Only more.
Only more.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And I'm thirsty, Lord.
And I'm thirsty, Lord.
And I ask you to pour your living water out upon us tonight as we study.
I ask you to pour your living water out upon us as we study.
And I ask this in the name of Messiah Yeshua.
I ask this in the name of Messiah Yeshua.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem, you may be seated. Maybe you can be seated. Well, we were running short-handed and running a little late with the start of the broadcast, but I promise you we're going to have some fun tonight. Taking a look at a couple of Hebrew words that were used once again for prayer in Austin, Texas, from two different people's point of view. Our point of view, hopefully ours might change a little about prayer as well. This week's Torah Parsha is
very
going
close
to be
neighbor
the
to Austin.
Tol'dot. We are having another
the
Torah class, generations of
we call it
Isaac,
Torah and
the son of Abraham. And it says, these are the generations, starting with the scriptures. You're not bringing it up yet.
For some reason, I don't know if I forgot.
We're going to be exploring some things that have impacted our traditions as well as the Torah Parsha for the week. We're trying to combine them as
Over here in this little task icons, see if it shows. Okay. I should be able to see it. We'll see.
okay. We switched to some new software, and we have a little bit of a little learning curve to see what kind of things create what kinds of problems.
Join with us and bear with us.
And Sabbath
move
before
right
last, we had
teaching.
audio running
If
over
you
our
have a
audio
question
from a
comes up and you would
reflection somewhere from another microphone, and it was making it sound like there were two of me talking at the same time, only on different subjects or something.
like us to address it.
So we've
Please
been
send
having a
your
real
question to ask the rabbi at
learning curve going here on the
org.
system to find out what
And it's up on your
exactly
screen.
causes what problems. And so today we're having a little problem with getting my laptop, my
There, Rabbi,
Surface Pro
Rabbi
Bible to show up on the
Zion.org.
software, but
Ask the rabbi.
that's something that we
Zion.org.
will overcome.
So anyway, I'll try to
And
get to
it might
questions
take us
as
a
you
few days to
send me.
figure
I
it
don't
all out.
guarantee it'll be
But
tonight.
we'll just do what we can do and trust the Lord for the rest. Amen. So are you able to get the Bible up yet? But I will try as best I can to make sure it gets inserted on a broadcast in the coming up. All right. We're still
Well, we're
looking
gonna
for
pray.
it. Hold on a
Stand.
minute. Last Sabbath's teaching is still altering my view of Scripture. I mean, it's changed it radically. And I keep seeing more and more depth in it. If y'all didn't get a chance to see it, I don't know if it's up there yet or not. We're working on it to get
Seated today
the
because of
sound
the lack
and everything
of-
all cleaned up.
Of help.
And
So
our programmer has told me that she knows how to fix the problem and get the better audio with the video. So we're working on that, and we're also some other little video hiccups that place that we're trying to straighten out. So just bear with us. We're hopefully going to get that up there because that is a teaching I don't want to lose. It was so good. So how are we coming in there? I apologize for not
Can
singing
anybody
during
say
the prayer. I normally
patience?
do. But tonight we will do the prayer. Have patience. Have patience. Don't be in such a hurry.
Don't be in such a hurry. I need to verify one item here. Make
Okay.
sure I got the right information to communicate with. I apologize.
We're seated, and now we have a camera operator, so maybe I can stand. Hallelujah.
Okay, that's correct. Now, let me just see if it's. I can't find the cursor. There it is.
Yeah. Thank you, Father. We're going to just go ahead and start off with our prayer. Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father who is in the heavens, we honor you tonight. We thank you for your word. We thank you for the
That's pretty
insights
cool
that
anyway.
you have been giving us into your word. This is your word, Lord. And your word. Can you switch over to the Bible from there?
It'll work itself in the background. It'll show the Bible in
Okay.
here. Yeah. But
It is so complex
I'm gonna restart this.
and so
It just needs a little
multi-dimensional that
It could have been that when you unplugged it earlier, it kind of flaked out on us because it was still
it's
active.
hard for any of us to even begin to comprehend the fullness of it as we read it. And I got people contacted us upset because they couldn't. Where's Rabbi? I can't find him on the internet. And one lady called me up and said, I'm going to have to buy all your DVDs just so I don't get stopped from studying because I can't live without these teachings.
And it really
Right.
changed my whole view and outlook on some of the biblical characters, especially Avram, as he was before he was. Is there any way the secondary monitor in here can show up for you so you don't get all the echoes and stuff showing?
Something's happening.
Abraham, and God gave me even more insight this week. And so, Lord, I just thank you for all this multi-dimensional input.
Reboot that part of the system, so I should be able to see it now.
Okay. Well, I'll be sitting here.
Anytime you unplug something, just make sure the software program is turned off so it don't flake out on us again.
Even when it's not even a class night?
Yeah.
Oh. And
well, you better just turn that off.
What you're going to be
because
showing
I'm going
us
to be
even as
coming
we
in
go
here
through
at
this
1
week.
o'clock in the morning praying and studying, and then you won't be asleep, and I'm not going to tell you to come and turn your computer off.
Oh, I can tell it to automate shut off time. I can work on that later
Okay.
for that feature. But we're back online. I see your computer now.
All right.
So we give our praise and honor and glory to you, Lord, for you are the King.
Well, we've
of
got
the
new
universe.
software, and it just
Your name
takes getting
is
used to. You know, there's a little bit of a
Yahweh.
learning curve to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll try to start off again.
God of
In
Abraham, Isaac,
Genesis
and
25,
Jacob.
verse
There is no other
19,
God besides you.
is the beginning of our Torah
So we
parsha for
honor
this
you
evening. These are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. What does it mean to beget Isaac?
Father,
It means he was conceived. To pour your spirit out upon
And in verse
all of
20,
us who are here tonight, give us living water as we study.
Isaac was a son of 40 years when he took Rivkah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram,
I ask you to give us
the
food
sister
from
to
heaven
Lavan,
and help
the
us to be able
Syrian,
to be
for his
strengthened
wife.
by what you give us.
verse 20, 21. And Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife. Now, the word entreated is where I want to
Help us
focus
to be able to truly
the
understand
beginning
your
of
word
this
better,
lesson for
and
today.
even get deeper glimpses, even as
And
your
the
heart and mind
Hebrew
sees your own
is
scriptures.
Yater.
And that
And the one it's highlighted for you in Hebrew And atar
That's awesome, Lord, when you do that.
is a primitive root.
So everybody
It's
say,
a
Lord, I'm
denominative form, and I'll
ask
explain
you to feed me
denominative in a
tonight.
minute here.
Ask you to feed me tonight.
I want
To
some more
burn
depth of
incense in worship, i.e., to intercede, reciprocally to listen to prayer.
understanding.
So,
More depth of understanding.
Just like you
Yitzhak-
gave us last Sabbath.
Just like he gave us last Sabbath.
Only more.
was
Hallelujah.
actively
Hallelujah.
pursuing communication with Yahweh on a multidimensional level here. It's the same form of worship
Yeah, I'm
as
thirsty,
burning
Lord.
incense, which is where you
I
begin
ask
to
you
get
pour your
involved
living
in
water
your
out upon
worship
us tonight as we study.
with
Okay, pour your
lighting
living
of
water
incense
out
and
upon us
smelling
as
the
we study.
incense and having your senses all be focusing together by the incense and by the prayer and by the whatever you're doing while you are praying and interceding.
And I ask this in the name of Messiah Yeshua.
That's his name of
So
Yeshua.
it says
Amen.
Baruch Hashem, you may be
Isaac
seated.
entreated or Yatar
You can be seated.
interceded as though in form of worship as burning incense to Yahweh for his wife because she was barren and was entreated back to him, Yahweh. So Yahweh, let me close out this definition here, and I'll try drawing some arrows on here that will help you to understand
well,
the point that I want to
We're
try to
running
make for
short-handed
today.
and running a little late with the start of the
It's a
broadcast.
very interesting point. It was for me anyway. Okay, so here is
But I promise you we're gonna have some fun tonight.
Vayatar,
Taking
right
a look
here.
at a couple of Hebrew
Well,
words that
good
were
evening.
used once
And
again,
prayer.
and
That's what Isaac was doing to Yahweh. And then it says his wife was barren, and then it says, and he was entreated, and here's the word again, it's this exact same root. And he was entreated to him by Yahweh. Yahweh was listening to Yitzhak at the very same level intensity that Yitzhak was praying to Yahweh. So the same way that Yaakov was praying, not Yaakov, but Yitzhak was praying, was the
Our
same
plan, hopefully
form
ours might
and
change a
type
little
of
bit.
listening that God
Prayer
was
as well.
doing to him. And I think that's pretty cool. But it's even more cool when you see what Rivka did to Yahweh and how Yahweh
This
responded
week's
to
Torah
her.
parsha is
Going
going
to
to
be
be
there
the
out my circles, and
Tol'dot.
we'll move on
We
down.
are having another
as the
Torah class in.
generations. Okay. Of Isaac,
Torah and
the son of Abraham.
And,
Okay, it says that she
and
conceived,
it says
Rivka conceived.
starting with
And
the
so
sixth
in verse
night.
22, the children, it says the children here were struggling together as though at war. Let me just bring that definition up.
We're going to be exploring some things.
A
that
primitive root to crack into pieces. They were breaking up each other, literally and or figuratively. Break, bruise, crush, discourage, oppress, struggle together. So they were having a little bit of a war going on in the womb. And the children were fighting within her. And she said, if this is so, why am I in this condition? And she went to the Rosh.
impacted our traditions as well as
She went to the Rosh
the Torah parsha for the week. We're
at
trying to
Yahweh.
combine them.
So the word darash was to seek an explanation. So this was more of just a question that she had that she wanted Yahweh to answer her. And so So she went to inquire from Yahweh, and then the next verse,
Okay.
and
We switched.
the Lord said, she had in her 2 nations. Now this is a typo, and that was done by the ones who authored this interlinear program, and is
learning
to
curve
err as human, but to really file things up takes a computer, and in this case, it was a combination thereof, which is really messed up. So anyway, and Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people from your bowels, and they shall be separated, and one people will be
somewhere from another
stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. So you can see here that Yahweh just said unto her. Her derash was, why do I feel like my intestines are about to explode with a nuclear warhead?
And it was making it sound like there were 2 of me talking at the same time.
And God is explaining to her his answer to her, his derash back to her, because he derashed to her rather than the intensive form of worship that was done by Yitzhak. And it says, 2 people, 2 nations are in your womb. And 2 kinds of people, yid.
Like us to address it.
So we've been having a real
Ask the rabbi.
learning curve
from your
bowels,
your
system
your
to find intestinal parts of you, the womb. And they shall be separated, the one people from the other. The younger will be stronger, and the elder shall serve
exactly
the younger.
causes what problems.
Now,
and so today we're having
when the days, so you can see that the derash that she inquired of the Lord was answered by simply statement. There wasn't any action required on God's part because of her derash. So God answered with just knowledge, so that she would understand what was going on. Surface Pro Bible to show up on the anyway, I wanted to show you also that Abraham, I got further understanding from the renaming. Avram was a father who was elevated, and it might take us high, on high, the high one, if you will. We came to another place in here where Ram is used as to indicate a city that's high up on a mesa, up on a flat table, a shulchan. You know, it's a flat place, like a table up in the air. And so this city was called, in Hebrew, it's further down in here. Let me just go down a little ways and see if I can find that real quick. A few days to figure it all out.
Guarantee it'll be tonight.
But we'll just do what we can do and trust the Lord. It's after they born. Well, anyway, it just means an elevated city, okay? It's a high city. And so Avram means a high father.
Bible up yet?
He's the high father. And when he was renamed to Avraham. Okay? And there's a built-in understanding from the nature of the words. Means people. The phonetical sounding word means people. Av Avraham, the Father who creates peoples. It's like he's a creator of nationalities. Coming up. He says, many nations will come from you, Abraham, right? And so it makes sense that he would be understood to be a father who creates nations, meaning the people of the various land divisions or whatever. And so I think it was just interesting. The play on words continues even as a metaphor in the naming of Abraham. Father, Varah creates Abraham. So it's so cool. When I saw that, I went, wow, I remember another Hebrew word that's that way. Do you remember it? Avracadabra. Av, Father, Bara, creates, Ki, Devara, according to his word. And so here we have Father Abraham, the father, Avram, becomes Avraham, father, a creator of peoples of nations. Many kings will come from your loins. So to me, I thought that was just a little wow moment in my study time, because I understand how that teaching the play on words comes even from the play of words that sound alike, and more. And it's really interesting to see how those have been used in Hebrew. So anyway, Abraham and Abimelech's people down further in this chapter. If y'all didn't get a chance to see it, 26, I don't know if it's up there yet or not. In verse 16, that's the next chapter. He says, he and Abimelech's servants were fighting over water. Abraham had dug wells there and made an agreement. Remember the well Beersheba? The well of oath, and everything all cleaned up, or spring of oath, and so it's actually in this case a well. Fix the problem and get the anyway. Abraham had the same little squabble going on with Abimelech's servants earlier on, and then Isaac came in, and every time he would uncover a well that his father had dug, the servants of Abimelech would come along and bury them back in, cover them in, and just fill them up, trying to stop their fresh water for I don't want to lose. Isaac and his flocks, to water his flocks and his people. And finally, when he came to this one, he was really frustrated because they were coming again. And so he made an appointment with Abimelech, and he, I apologize for can anybody say prayer? Abimelech came and said, what's the problem? See if I can get, oh, here we go. Up. Okay. So they dug another well and strove also for that one, and he called the name of it Sitnah, which literally means quarreling or disputing. And then in verse 22, he removed from there and digged another well. And they did not strive for that one, and he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now he has made room, Yahweh has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the earth. So he went up from there to Beersheba, and Yahweh appeared unto him, and now we have the same, and he said, I am Elohei Abraham, I am the God of Abraham, Avika, your father. Do not fear, for I, Anochi, I'm the God of your father, for I am with you and will bless you and multiply you and your seed for the sake of Abraham, my servant. And he built there an altar and called on the name of Yahweh and pitched there his tent and digged there a well. His servants, Isaac's servants, dug a well there. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar and Azuzat and his friends Pikol, Sar, Savo. Just go ahead and that's the chief captain of his. Sar means literally the prince of his army. Savo. And he said unto them, Isaac said unto them, wherefore, why have you come to me, seeing you hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, we saw certainly that Yahweh was with you. Here's a Philistine king who's telling Isaac, we know that Yahweh is with you. And you're going to be blessed, and you're going to take our blessings from us, and you're going to be blessed with it. We saw certainly that Yahweh was with you, and we said, let there be now an oath between us, even between us and you, our Father who is in the your heavens, children, your sons, and let us make a covenant, a brit, imcha, with you. So he's wanting to make an agreement with Isaac that Isaac will not take away his resources, so that you will do to us hurt and not that we have, as we have not touched you, and as we have done unto you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now blessed of Yahweh. It's interesting how the world around can tell when we're blessed of Yahweh, isn't it? He made them a feast, and they did eat and drink, and they rose up. Thank you for the Vayashkimu. Let's see what the definition of that is. Shekan, to incline the shoulder into a burden, but used only as a denominative. Okay, there's that word again. Denominative is when you take a noun and you turn it into a verb or something other than a noun. Primarily a verb is what it's done with. So shoulder then is a noun, okay, right? Is that right? Shoulder. Shoulder is a noun. I mean, this is a physical thing. It's a noun. But it's changed in the nominative use of it to mean that you load up on the shoulder. That's where you carry your water jugs, okay? So, in other words, to start early in the morning. They always went for their water early in the morning, and that's what it means to shoulder up. So they rose up, Shekimu, and they rose up in the morning, and they swore one to another and sent them away. And Isaac, as they departed from him in peace. So Isaac sent them away, and they departed in peace. And then in verse 12, it came to pass the same day that the servants of Isaac came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, we've found water in the well that they just dug. He called it Shiva. It means swearing or an oath. Even more insight this week. Beersheba, that was the one his father Abraham dug, remember? And this is also a Beersheba. It's another well of oath. And it was the name of the city, Beersheba, unto this day. So Esau was 40 years old, and he took to wife Judith. Well, I'll be sitting daughter
Can
of
you
Beri.
plug something? Just make sure those.
Beri would be my well or my spring, the Hittite, and Basmath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. So he's married 2 Hittite women here. What did his father tell him he didn't want him to do? To take any wives from the locals.
Well, you better just.
So
turn
what did
that
he
off,
do?
what you're gonna be showing us.
He took the wives from the local. You see, he had just been deceived. He felt he was deceived by Esau and, Esau felt
coming in here
deceived
at
by
1 o'clock in the
Isaac
morning
and his
praying and
father.
studying, and then you won't be asleep, and I'm not
And
going
they
to tell you to come and
kind of ganged up on
turn
him.
your computer off.
Oh,
So Yaakov is being the target of his ire. It's a continuation of the war that his mother felt in the womb.
Automate shut off time.
And
I can
so,
work on that later
okay,
for that feature. But we're back online.
Yaakov and
see your
his
computer
mother had made some kind of a deal, it seems like, in the text when you read it, if you listen with both ears, that they cheated Esau out of his birthright. But when Esau came in from the field hunting venison for his father, he was so starving that he was feeling faint, like he was going to pass out. And he asked Isaac for some of that red stuff, he called it, which was basically red lentil soup.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll
can you
try
hear
to
me in
start
there?
off again. Yeah, he asked Yaakov.
In
Genesis 25.
Oh, okay. There is also commentary, and I understand this book's not included, but
Verse
in this
19
corresponding
is
scripture
the beginning
in
of
the
our
book
Torah
of
portion
Enoch,
for
it is
this
said that
evening.
he was
These
also
are
the
the
reason why he
generations
came
of
to his
Isaac's
brother
son, Abraham's son.
so hungry he was willing to give
Abraham
up his
begot
birthright for a bowl of
Isaac.
soup was that he had just come back from a great battle with what was supposed to have been
What does it mean to
supposed,
beget?
one of the
It means he
grandsons
was
of Noah,
conceived.
that at the time
And in verse 20,
had
here
a
tonight, give us
empire. He had taken on that entire empire. God had delivered that into his hand and defeated him. So he had just come back from a great battle.
water as
He
Isaac was
completely
a
and totally
son of
destitute.
40
it wasn't just
years
the
when he
hunting, it was
took
supposedly
Rivkah,
other scripture as well, referenced in one of the
The do-
scriptures of the books of the Kings. The problem is, since the second destruction of the temple after Yeshua, we don't have official versions that we're able to validate and be added.
But I have a
Scripture.
problem with that concept as well.
Right.
And the problem is that Esau was going to get back quickly with this venison for
Daughter
his
of
father.
Bethuel,
There would have not
the
been
Syrian,
time for any kind of a major battle like that.
Asked you to give us
The
food from
sister to
heaven.
So I question the
Syrian,
validity of that
before his
opinion in the book of Enoch.
Okay.
And not only that, but we don't know that we have the true original
Exactly.
words of the book of Enoch.
Yeah. Right.
So we've got a number of issues there to contend with.
Right.
But because the Torah seems to be that he's going to go out, he's going to kill this deer, he's going to dress it and bring it back to his father, and he's in a hurry because he wants this
Verse
blessing.
20,
21 was very important to him.
Okay, hold on. I didn't had you muted on the camera mic. Repeat your question.
Were you talking about when he went to Yaakov starving that he gives his birthright, or are you
Correct.
talking about?
Yahweh
When he went to
for his
Yaakov
wife.
starving
Now
to
the
give his
word
birthright, it was following.
Entreated is
a
where I
great
want to
battle.
focus to be able to treat
Oh, okay.
the
Not the
beginning
part
of
where
this.
he-
But we don't
Less
know
than
that
we
that's
can
the
get.
case.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
that's
I
just
wanted
not
to
Esau
in the Bible.
may have indeed taken on the grandson of Noah in a battle, but we don't know that the time frame of that battle was at this juncture in the Torah.
Or how Enoch.
But because of the Torah and because of how long it would take to fight that kind of a battle, I don't believe that I think that the battle and the food eating are anachronistic. They're out of time sync with each other. So I'm not challenging that battle took place, but I am challenging the anachronistic nature of it. It doesn't seem to correlate with this event.
Denominative form, and I'll explain.
Okay.
But just making you aware that there are that's come up more recently.
Well, you know, that's not the first time I've heard people been out of shape with something that they haven't thought well through. You know, for example, Christian ministers do that all the time, and you see some really crazy nut stuff coming from the pulpit. And it's because they don't have enough education and knowledge of the Torah and the rest of the writings of Judaism and understanding of the contextual nature of everything. And so they make these stupid blunders. And one group will form and say, no, our leader's right, and others will say, no, they're wrong, and then you split off and make another denomination. And so I think there's something like 4,000 denominations of Christianity at the moment.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But see, we've got the same problem happening in Judaism as well.
Yep.
Like, for example, this story right here, I cannot believe that this is the same time frame as the one that's being mentioned by the rabbis about the grandson of Noah fighting with Esau and him coming back famished, and that's why he wanted some of that lentil soup and was willing to sell his birthright. Oh, come on, you know.
But that did recently
smelling the incense and having your senses all be
places,
focusing together by the incense and by the
conventional
Jewish
nation in Israel,
whatever
you're
doing
on YouTube and going into detail on it. It was an interesting study. I'll get you the link later.
Sure, but I'm saying that the rabbi or whoever it was that put that out there has made an error in the time frame that these things take place. That it could not have been during this time because he was in a hurry to get back. He departed to get the venison so he could hurry back and get his birthright blessing. And so anyway, it does not make any sense whatsoever for this battle between Esau and the grandson of Noah to take place. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not disputing the fact that there was a battle between Esau and a grandson of Noah, but I am disputing the time consistency of it.
Right. The Torah speaks clearly at this event.
Egypt as burning incense. Anyway, in verse 35, his wife, because Esau went out and got himself not one but two women of the local people when he was told not to. In verse 35, it says, these were a grief of mind unto Isaac and to Rebekah. Yahweh. So Yahweh, they were grieved over this. And I believe that's one of the reasons why they may have conspired, in my opinion, they may have conspired to cut Esau out of his birthright. Try drawing some arrows on here blessing that will help that was supposed to come from his father. The point that I want to try. So then when Isaac was old, his eyes were dim, he could not see, he called Esau his son. Yeah, see, that happened just prior to this story about his losing his birthright, his blessing, his position of blessing. It's a very interesting point. He had his birthright, and then he had his blessing. So anyway, this is that was just before he came before his father, and his father says unto him, his eldest son, behold, I'm here. And he says, I know that the day of my death is close. So here, and he says, please take your weapons and your quiver and your bow and go out to the field and take me venison. And so he goes out and he makes savory meat such as he loved and brought it to. He says, and bring it to me so that I may eat it and bless you, my soul, before I die. So he's going to make a nephesh connection to Yahweh on behalf of his son, that he's going to come before him with the venison as an offering, and that's going to secure his blessing. And so now, so he goes out to fight to kill this venison, and then to prepare it. And by the time he gets back in, guess what? Bada bing, bada boom, his brothers done beat him in there and given him the food that he was wanting so much, and took the blessing. And it seems that his father and mother were probably in cahoots on this thing when you read the whole story in context. So anyway, Esau came back and said, well, didn't you save a blessing for me? Over it again, it's this exact same root. And, he was entreated. Let's see what else. We're almost out of time here. So anyway, this is the whole story on how that Rebecca came to Yahweh. Yahweh was listening to Isaac and to Jacob, and he said, "Go quickly and get me a goat from the flock." And she prepared it in a special way that his father loved it, and she put goat hair on his hands and on his neck, so that when Isaac felt of his very same level of intensity that Isaac was praying to Yahweh, believe it was actually the same. But I tell you, because of all the facts in this story, he questioned him 3 times about his actually being Esau. So that tells you he was questioning that this was actually same Esau, way that it was actually maybe Yaakov was praying, not Yaakov, but Isaac, and that's actually praying. In fact, who it was the same. And Yaakov said to Rebekah, his mother, "Behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a man smooth." Form and type of listening that God was doing to him. So it's like he had a wool coat on. Esau was so hairy. So he says, "I will seem to him, to my father, to be a deceiver, and I'll bring upon me a curse instead of a blessing." It's even more cool when you see your curse be upon me, my son. That's what his mother said to him. How Yahweh responded to him. "Only obey my voice and go fetch them for me." And he went and fetched and brought them two young goats to his mother, and made savory meat that his father loved. And Rebekah took the remnant of Esau, her eldest goodly son, which with her in the home, and put them on. This is the raiments, the garments up here. Took that and put them on her other son Yaakov, and it smelled like he had come from the field, because that's where he spent most of his time. And the skins of the kids of the goats she put up on his hands and up on the smooth of his neck, and she gave savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, "Avi," and he said, "Here I am. Miata, who are you?" There's the first question that sounds like he doesn't believe this. "Who are you, my son?" And Yaakov said unto his father, "I am Esau." He lied to him. "Your firstborn, and I have done according as you have bidden me." So he lied to him twice here in this story. "I'm Esau, your firstborn. That's two lies right there together. And he says, I've done as you have asked me to do. Arise, I pray you, sit and eat of my venison, so you may bless me, my soul. So Isaac said unto his son, 22, how is it that you have so quickly found this food, my son? He was expecting it to take a little longer than it took. And he said, because Yahweh your God brought them to me. And Isaac said unto Yaakov, come near, I pray, that I may feel you, my son. He still doesn't believe him. We're struggling together. So he feels of him, and he feels the hair from the goats on his neck. I'm sorry, but that still doesn't cook for me. Okay? But that's just part of the explanation that he and his Rebecca offered to his son Esau. And I know it's all because they were so angry with him for going out and marrying two local women. Not one, but two local women, contrary to his father's instructions. This doesn't make sense to me otherwise. He knew that sounded like Yaakov instead of Esau. Or figuratively. He knew that. Break, bruise, crush, discourage, oppress. So he went near unto Isaac, his father, and he felt him, and he said, the voice is the voice of Yaakov. Struggle to get. But the hands are the hands. So they were having a little bit of a war going on in the womb. And he did not discern him because of his hands, as his hands were like Esau, his brother, hairy, so he blessed him. And he said, verily, are you my son Esau? What's that, 3 times now he's asking the same questions? And he says, Ani, it is I. And he said, I just read that. And he said, bring it near, and I will eat. Fighting within her. He ate of the venison, that my soul may bless you. And he brought it near to him. And he ate, and he brought him wine, yain. That's the fermented form of it. It's not the grape juice. And he drank. Vayesti. If this is so, literally, why am I in this condition? Word for drinking, but in this form it's the right. Okay, in verse 26 he continues. He said unto him, Isaac his father said unto him, come here, come near me, Gasha, please now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and he kissed him, and he smelled the smell of the raiment. So this is the 4th time he inquired of his son. Is this really Esau? So he smelt the raiment, and he could smell the field on him. And he says, see the smell of my son, the smell of a field which Yahweh has blessed. The word darash, so anyway, was to seek this is an explanation. So not very well done plot to deceive, because his father Isaac actually got it. He pinpointed it. He knew what the situation was. This was more of just but he didn't want to give that blessing to his son Esau. And he didn't want his son Esau to be angry with him. And so the plot was then fabricated in order to make his son Esau content with his father and not be so angry with his father. Also, because Isaac was like his father, a spiritual man, just like Avram was. We talked about how Avram was a very spiritual person before God named him Abraham. And after he was named Abraham, he was still just as much a a sighted
which
person
Lord,
of the
said
heavenly
to-
kingdom.
She
realm.
had in her 2 nations. Now,
So, in verse 29, it continues on. Let the people.
this
Ami.
is a
Now,
typo.
is spelled
And that was done
typically
by
with
the
a
ones who
tiny
authored
software
this
and
internet
Ami.
program, and as
the
learning
people.
to err is human, but to really
And
follow
so
takes
anyway,
computer,
and if you say Avraham, you could still get the wordplay that he's a
This
creator of
guy's
people.
It was a combination thereof, which is
So
really messed up.
many peoples were birthed from his loins.
So anyway,
So
and Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations
the nations
are
will
in
bow
your
down
and
and
2 manner of people.
be Lord over your brothers, and nations will be Lord over your brethren, and that bow down unto you, the sons of your mothers.
Will be
Cursed be the one that curses you, and blessed
stronger
be the
than the
one who
other.
blesses you. Well, that's really all I
and
have
the
time
older
for
will serve the younger.
for tonight. But I hope that you will read the scriptures with your eyes open, and many of these insights just simply can't be gained without going into
So you
the
can see
Hebrew
here
and understanding
that
how the
Yahweh
Hebrew words
just
are
said
used other
unto
places
her.
in Scripture, and that's the real tie-in for
Word
discovering
Darash
some of
was,
these discoveries that I've
Why
made.
do I feel like
That people, when they hear it, they know it's true. And ask yourself, is this true? And if you got
my
no answer, ask them
intestines are about
if
to
it's a
explode
devil
with
or
a
Yahweh
nuclear
answering you.
warhead. And it was making it sound like there were
You know,
two
if you
of
can
them
hear
talking
from
at the
Yahweh, you
same
can hear
time.
from the
And
devil
God
too.
is explaining to her.
So you
his
gotta learn to
answer
discern.
her, 'cause he's
Well,
the
that's it
Rosh
for tonight.
Chodesh.
I hope you enjoyed this class. I enjoyed it again and enjoyed teaching it. There's just so much richness in the Torah
Rather
when you
than,
read it in the Hebrew that just explodes in your mind
the
when you
intensive
understand it.
form of worship that was done
So
by
I pray that you will learn and grow in Hebrew,
and it
that
says
you'll learn to
2
read
people.
all the things that are contained herein, and that you will maybe come into sections where you will see something really funny
nations are in your womb.
that comes out of the metaphors contained
And
in
2
Scripture
kinds
when
of
you read it in
people
Hebrew. It's
You
really,
may,
there are many places where I see it, I read it in
So
Hebrew,
you
and
have
it
a
makes me
real
laugh
huge
because of the connections that are made, the connections and the metaphors. Well, I hope you got something good from this. I hope you will join us again for our next Torah class on Tuesday night, and that you will come and join us on
and they shall
Shabbat
be
morning
separated. The
for
one
more
people from the
exciting
other.
teachings in the
The
Torah
younger will be
and adventures in the spirit land, the land of Yahweh our God. Hallelujah.
and the elders shall serve the younger.
Well, be
Now-
well until we see you again.
So today we're having
Hopefully,
the days.
this
So you
coming
can see that
Shabbat.
the
And if
the
not,
Darash that
the
she
following
inquired of
Bible
the Lord
class.
was answered by.
So be
by
well,
simply
and may
statement.
God richly bless you in your studies.
Thank you for joining us for another delightful evening of this
There wasn't
teaching.
any
We
action
want to welcome you back to
required
our
on God's
weekly
part
Shabbat
because of her
services, which
Darash.
occurs Saturday morning,
So God answered
beginning with our
just
10 a.m. Bible
knowledge,
issues class,
getting
followed
mothers
by
she
our
would
11
understand
a.m.
what-
main service with worship, liturgy, and another teaching. If you like what you heard, please give us a like, or just email us if you have any comments or
Those
questions,
online
and
site
ask the rabbi at
references
tzion.org.
provided to show up on the,
And also look forward to visit our website for more
um,
information, tzion.org. And
Anyway,
also sign up
I
for
wanted to
the
show you all.
free Hebrew Bible study at yesterday.org, which you can also find a quick link on our website. And also pray about contributing
Also,
towards the service that we do here for Yahweh. And
the
one more
Abraham,
announcement is that we are
I got
approaching
further
Rosh
understanding from
Chodesh.
the renaming.
and that is the beginning of the 3rd month. So sound the shofar. It occurs on the 8th of this regular month. We'll see you next
Abraham
time.
was
Shalom,
a
shalom.
father who
So
was
anyway, I'll
elevated,
try to
and
do this
it might
as
take us
much as I
on high, the high